Hi, welcome to Michelle Sews Again. I'm Michelle. Today I am going to tell you about my top 10 sewing tools that I've bought from Amazon. So if that sounds interesting to you, hang on. Okay, so I am a huge Amazon shopper. When I looked at my Amazon account, I had 200 orders in 2020, and for 2021, at the end of August, I have 170 something orders already. So I'm going to surpass 2020 by a landslide. So what I'm going to share with you today I've bought a lot of sewing tools on Amazon. Today I'm going to focus on my top 10 that I use these on a regular basis. I'm very happy with the quality of these items. And then in the future, I think more toward the end of September, I'm going to also share with you some of my not so great purchases on Amazon to help you kind of avoid going down that rabbit hole. So I'm going to do this from a countdown 10 to 1. To be honest with you, some of these, it was really hard to put these in a specific order because a lot of these I use them every single time I sew. So I hope that you'll find this helpful. All right, so number 10 is not really a sewing tool, but I use this in my sewing room, and so I thought I would add it. It is the multi-outlet wall charger, and I paid $12.99. I'll throw pictures of all these things in as I'm talking about them. But what I love about this is it's kind of thick. I don't know, maybe an inch thick, but it's basically flat to the wall. So it's not one of those ones, it's not like a surge protector that you have to find room for on the floor or it gets in your way or whatever. It sticks to the wall. There are outlets on the front and the sides, and then there's USB ports in case you want to use it to charge your phone or iPad or some other device. So this is definitely one of my top 10. Number 9 is a hem gauge. This is the Dritz hem gauge, and it's made out of nickel. I don't know if that's important or not, but I use this every time I need to hem either the hemline of a garment or a sleeve. And it's got all these different measuring marks. So a 1/4 inch, a 1/2 inch, 5/8, 3/8. And what's cool about it is you can actually iron on it. So what I usually do is I take it to my ironing board, I lay the garment down, outside up, and I fold over the hem, on the hem gauge, on the flat side of the hem gauge, roll it over, and I iron it down in place. And I do that all the way around. And that way I don't have to take a measuring tape out. I find this so much easier. So that's my number 9. And it's only and you can get it for less than $8. All right, so number 8 on my list is a disappearing ink marking pen, and this is 2-sided. There's a blue side and a purple side, and I use this to mark things from my pattern. Usually, sometimes I use a Choco pen, but usually I use my marking pen to mark different things from my pattern to my fabric, and it works out really well. I have yet to have it not wash out or go away, and it's super easy to use. All right, number 7, and that pen is $5.21, at least at the time that I'm filming this. Number 7 is fabric. It's 100% cotton sheeting that is $4.58 a yard. I have bought quite a bit of this, and I use this for my tie dyeing or my ice dyeing, but then I take it and I make a garment out of it. So I've made the Sinclair Poppy pants out of it. I've made the Style Arc Nova Midi out of it. And for anything that you would also use, let's say quilting cotton for, or a lightweight cotton to make a garment, you can use this fabric for. It literally, it's like a sheet, which is why it's called sheeting. Okay, my number 6 is something that I actually have 2 of, and I use both of them. It is the magnetic Pin Caddy. I love this thing. So I'll pop a picture up here. I actually ended up buying 2 because what was happening, I don't know what it is. I cannot get used to using pattern weights. My fabric still I don't know if well, it's obviously user error because tons of you guys use pattern weights. I can't get used to it. So when I'm cutting out my patterns, I still use pins. And I haven't run into any problem with it, like leaving holes. I also, I don't know where I learned this along the way, but I pin horizontally instead of vertically, and I pin within the seam allowance. So even if a hole would appear, which I honestly have not had any issues with that, then it would be in the seam allowance, so it wouldn't be a big deal. But I pin my fabric, or I'm sorry, I pin my pattern pieces to my fabric before I cut them. So I was finding myself like having to flip back and forth between my cutting table and my sewing table with my pins because I needed my Pin Caddy over at the cutting table to put, to pin the pattern to the fabric and cut it. And then I was taking it over to my sewing machine and I didn't have my Pin Caddy to take the pins out and put it back on. So I was having to flip, go back and forth. First world problems, I know, not a big deal, but it's not that expensive. So why not just have 2? So I end up I have one on my cutting table and I have one next to my sewing machine and serger. Not a bad. Okay, so number 5 on my list is 40 colors of thread. This came in a set. It is Brothread. I could be saying that wrong. It is polyester thread. It is made to work with Brother, Baby Lock, Janome, Singer, Pfaff, Husqvarna, Bernina, embroidery, and sewing machines. And I am not a thread connoisseur, so I don't know like what threads are good and which ones are bad. I can tell you these work really well. I've had no problem with them. They don't pill up. They don't break. It's a nice, good universal thread that I've used for the majority of my garments, unless I happen to be missing a color for a fabric, which hasn't happened that often, guys. This 40 colors, like I've got a color that comes very close to my fabric 90% of the time. So I think for $25.99, 40 colors of thread, and it's a good amount of thread. Each spool has 550 yards. I mean, it's a nice size spool of thread. So I definitely recommend that. My number 4 is the 45 millimeter rotary blade 5-pack from Fiskars. The reason this popped out to me is because I recently bought a 5-pack of 45 millimeter rotary blades from Joann's, and it was twice the price. It was $19.99 at Joann's. It is $9.60 for the exact same brand and pack. So definitely recommend that you go through Amazon for your rotary blade replacements. Number 3 is my micro tip scissors. These are also from Fiskars. I've bought lots of little scissors to, snip errant threads and all that. And that's another thing that I have many of them. I have on my cutting table. I have them next to my sewing machine. I have them on my, near my ironing board, just because you always need a snip, right? These micro tip scissors are my favorite out of all the ones that I have. In fact, I'm probably gonna get rid of all the other ones and replace them and have the multiples of the Fiskars, because the tip is pointed enough that it gets in like really tiny places and it's sharp. And a lot of the cheaper, less expensive little scissors that I've bought, I have to like do a couple of times before it snips the thread, and these are like spot on every time, and they're only $8.99, so you can't beat that for a quality pair of scissors. You can beat the price, but you're gonna get what you pay for. All right, number 2 on my list is my sewing and cutting tables. When we were at our old townhouse in Pennsylvania, I didn't have a dedicated sewing space. So I had my sewing machine and my serger set up on the dining room table. Not ideal, but I didn't have a dedicated space. So when we moved into this condo, I knew that I wanted, my husband was fine with it though. I decided to make the 3rd bedroom my sewing and crafting room. So I needed tables to set everything up. So because I had the whole room, I was like, let me have 1 cutting table and 1 table for my sewing machine and my serger. So I found these tables on Amazon. I did a lot of searching on a lot of different websites, and these seemed to be the ones that were a good price and a good size. So this table actually comes in different lengths, and the one that I got is 63 inches. It's called a computer desk or a writing desk, but I mean, obviously it's just a table. You can use it however you want. It comes in different colors. It comes in different lengths. I got the longest length of 63 inches. The price on it is $109.99 per table, which I think is a really good price. It's a nice sturdy table. I haven't had any issues with it. My husband and I put them together. They were quite easy to put together. I actually had some gift cards, so I didn't actually end up paying the $109.99. I think I had $75 in gift cards or something. So I paid, between the two of them, I paid like $130 or $40, which for 2 63-inch tables, that's really nice. Now, my only thing with this is it's perfect for my sewing and serger machines. For my cutting table, the length of it is great. The depth of it, I do wish that I had one that was a little bit deeper. It is 24, just shy of 24 inches deep. And for 90% of my patterns, it works out fine. For a handful of patterns, I've had to come out to the dining room table to cut them. Not a big deal. Once we end up getting a house, I want to make one of those really great like cutting tables where, you know, you put the 2 like cubbies together and get a piece of wood to put them on top. I think both Jen from Today in Jen's Sewing Room and Mari from Mari Sews, they both have made one of those, and I'm jealous of those and I want one of those. But in the meantime, for my space, this table works great. All right, now we are to my number 1 pick, and this is not going to be everybody's like ideal. It's working out great for me. I bought my sewing machine on Amazon back in March when I first decided that I was going to start sewing again. I got the Brother CS5055 PRW. It's one of the Project Runway limited edition styles, and it does everything that I need it to do right now. It has, I think, 50 different stitches. 8 or 9 of them are different buttonhole stitches. It came with a small handful of presser feet. What I have discovered that I really love about it is recently I have made a couple of garments that have some really thick like connection, like layers. So, you know, I've made a pair of skinny jeans that when I got to one of the intersections of the yoke and the left and right of the back, and all of those seams connect right there at that point, that was really thick. My sewing machine didn't have any trouble getting through that at all. So it's a little beast of a machine, and it cost me $189. For now, at the skill level that I am and the things that I'm doing right now, it's working great. Eventually, I definitely want to upgrade. I want a machine that does that fancy stuff, you know, as far as like cutting the thread, and because I waste a lot of thread, making sure that I've got enough pulled out that when I start stitching again, it doesn't like come out of the needle. So I definitely want an upgraded machine at some point, but for a beginner and for the skill level that I'm at right now, this machine does wonders. So that is my list of Amazon top 10 sewing tools. I know that there are a lot of sewing tool videos out there. And you know, some of my items are on their list and some of them are not. I'd love to know what your favorite tools are, whether they come from Amazon or not. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to, at some point, I'm going to do a comparison between my top 10 from Amazon and how those compare to the same offerings from Wawak. I've shopped a little bit on Wawak, not a lot. So I'd love to compare and see, are these prices better than or not better than Wawak? And I will come back and report to you what my what I discover when I do that. So let me know if you found this helpful. Did I introduce anything new to you? Maybe, maybe not. And are any of your favorites on my list? And what are your favorites that are not on my list? I would love to know. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope wherever you are, the weather is fantastic and that you're able to get some sewing in. And I will talk to you next time. Bye.